One very common mistake that I see beginners all the way through advanced pianists make is the assumption that the hand should always remain flat to the keyboard, meaning that the palm is facing down, the top of the hand is facing up. And this, after all, makes sense, right? We can't really play if the hand is turned to the side, especially to this degree. And that makes sense because we're playing with the fingers, and if my hand is sideways, now my fingers can't reach. Or I'm certainly not going to have the same kind of control. Although this makes sense on the surface, this is actually completely untrue. And if you look at these 3 different clips of a number of different pianists play, what you'll notice is that they very often will turn their hand side to side, and sometimes to a very noticeable degree. Now, the reason why they're doing this is to accommodate the passage and the notes that they're playing, and to play with freedom and ease using certain motions of the arm. Now, if we look at the hand and the arm, we can see that we can move in certain planes of motion. So we can go up and down in this plane, we can go side to side like this, okay? And then we can also go in more of an arcing motion like this. But there's actually another way that we can move, and that's when we turn the arm side to side. Now, often this is a very neglected aspect of piano technique, and we call this form rotation. Now, when people use this motion, they often use it very, very slightly, or they don't use it at all. But as you can tell from these different clips of pianists playing, they'll use this rotational movement to an extreme degree in certain contexts. What this means, though, and this goes back to my original statement in the video, is that there are times where the hand will be quite tilted to the side. And though this seems somewhat counterintuitive, it actually makes it easier to play. For instance, if I'm going to play the 5th finger, if I turn my hand to the side, my arm will naturally shift over, and so I'll have a little bit more control and power when I play that 5th finger. Instead, if I only play it like this, it's much harder to control that, especially in the context of music when I want to get a really nice big sound. Another example could be when playing the thumb. In many contexts in music, we have to extend the thumb to the side. When we're extending this thumb to the side, it makes it much more awkward to use an upward-downward motion, and that's where just a little bit of motion from the arm can help control that motion as we're sort of moving the thumb to the side and extending it. So the thumb will move to the side, and it can go up and down a little bit, but using that rotation movement makes that really easy. Another context could be if we're playing some sort of an arpeggio. As I do that, I'm using this rotational movement, because just like the thumb, when the hand has to extend a little bit to play larger intervals, for instance in this arpeggio, it's much more difficult to move the fingers up and down like so. So using that rotational movement makes that much easier, and I have more control. A famous example from the piano repertoire would be the Chopin Etude Opus 25 No. 1, where we have these big sort of arpeggio-like patterns where the hand has to be able to glide across the keys. Now, if we use a little bit of rotation, combined with the arm shifting up and down, it makes that much easier, because then my hand has to stretch less, and those slight changes as I roll from one direction to the next make that much easier to control. The same in the right hand. That motion works really well to really bring out that top note with the 5th finger. Etc. So remember that when you're playing, the hand won't always be flat, but sometimes it has to turn one way or the next. Now, if this is interesting, you want to learn more about this, check out my channel. I have many videos where I talk specifically about this rotational aspect of playing the piano. Happy practicing, and I'll see you next time.